Okay, so a couple of nights ago, I recorded myself reading the opinions of one of my fans regarding Trayvon Martin's death. And I did not give my feedback personally because I did not want to make the video too long. But tonight I'm going to do that for you. Now let's start off with the facts that have not been disputed as far as I've heard. Well, George Zimmerman sees Trayvon Martin. Zimmerman follows Trayvon in his car, calls the police to report. Trayvon says he looks suspicious. He's wearing a hoodie, jeans, sneakers. He looks black. And when the officer asks him, uh, "Are you following him?" Zimmerman says, "No." Zimmerman said, "Yes, I am following him." And the officer is like, "We don't need you to do that." Now, just to digress a little bit. Zimmerman did not disobey the police officer because the officer did not tell Zimmerman to not follow Trayvon. He told Zimmerman that we don't need you to do that. And honestly, I think that's the police officer's fault partially because, the police officer should have told him not to follow. What right does Zimmerman have to follow this individual? He's not a cop, he's a neighborhood watchman. And furthermore, but still, Zimmerman shouldn't have followed him anyway. Moving on, Zimmerman confronts Trayvon in his car. Well, no, he gets out of the car, confronts Trayvon, and asks him, what are you doing? Or where are you going? Whatever the case may be. And all we can pretty much agree on is that at some point Zimmerman shoots Trayvon and kills him. What we are disputing is whether or not one this was a racially motivated crime. What people are assuming that it is racial profiling because all Zimmerman knew about Trayvon, according to the police call, was that he was wearing a hoodie, jeans, and sneakers, and he claimed that it was the hoodie that made uh, Trayvon look suspicious, which seems ridiculous to me and a lot of other people because hoodies are very common anywhere you go. When it rains, people wear hoodies. I don't get into trouble and I wear a hoodie, and I know a lot of people who don't get in trouble and also wear a hoodie. So that does not seem to be, you know, something that justifies Zimmerman going after Trayvon. But whether or not it was because Trayvon is black, we don't know that for sure, but that does seem more likely, at least, than the hoodie. And that's all pretty much Zimmerman had to go by when he targeted Trayvon. Also, we're also disputing whether or not there was a physical altercation between Zimmerman and Trayvon. And personally, to me, I don't think it really matters because Zimmerman shouldn't have followed Martin in the first place. So, however Trayvon reacted after being followed and confronted might have been out of fear. Now, that's not to say that maybe, what others are saying that Trayvon simply ran and Zimmerman shot him. That's not to say that's not true. And honestly, that is probably the better solution when someone is confronting you is to like try to leave rather than try to fight. But like I said, either way, I think Zimmerman is still accountable for shooting Trayvon. Now, whether or not Zimmerman wasn't arrested. And, people think that he should have been. I think he should have been too, personally. And, or at least tested for drugs and alcohol. But he was not. And Trayvon was. And people think that's not fair because why is the victim being tested for substances but the shooter is not? Now, people are saying the reason why Zimmerman is getting off the hook is because of the stand your ground law, which somehow people are saying that justifies him seeing Trayvon, following him, and shooting him. And some people are saying the stand your ground law does not say that Zimmerman could act the way he did that night. Now, if the stand your ground law does say that, someone needs to reform that law. If not, then Zimmerman needs to be punished. Either way, Zimmerman needs to be punished. People need to really look at this situation and say that Zimmerman did not act responsibly based on at least what we can agree on. Also, as far as the racial issue, I mean, we really don't know what Zimmerman's mentality was. but there are his friends who say that Zimmerman isn't racist. Some of them are black, and my opinion is simply just because he has black friends doesn't mean he's racist. A lot of people who are racist have friends of that race, and there's a difference between having an older black male as a friend and seeing a random young black man walking down the street. uh, you know, People profile young black men differently than maybe, the older black gentleman that I talk to occasionally or whatever the case may be. So racism takes many forms. It's not just, specifically a color, but also whether you're familiar with the person, age, height, things like that. But at the end of the day, we really don't know whether it was a racial issue or not. Uh, Now, there have been issues about the media, whether or not the media has been fair. People have been posting, well, showing pictures of Trayvon Martin when he was younger next to a picture of George Zimmerman in a mugshot. Now, honestly, it's not fair, but at the same time, I think that at the end of the day, it's the facts that matter and not the pictures. And then there are the people on the other side who are posting pictures of George Zimmerman in a tuxedo while they show pictures of Trayvon Martin with his Twitter account, with grills trying to look like a thug. Honestly, I think all that is immature. Even if Trayvon Martin did take that picture, a lot of these kids these days want to be thugs. That doesn't mean that they're actually getting into trouble. Now, people have also mentioned Trayvon Martin's criminal record and tried to use that to justify whether or not he was indeed starting trouble or whether or not he uh, he started the physical confrontation. Which I said that does not matter because George Zimmerman knew nothing about Trayvon Martin's criminal record beforehand. So George Zimmerman had no reason to target him in the first place, even if Trayvon Martin had a criminal record, which people are still, debating, or if Trayvon Martin got suspended from school, what the reason behind that is. I mean, kids get suspended sometimes. It doesn't make them criminals anyway. There was also a bus altercation, a bus with a bus driver that I've heard that maybe Trayvon was involved in, but I mean, like I said, these things don't matter. Now, Zimmerman's record, on the other hand, does matter because Zimmerman is the one who started the situation in the first place by following Trayvon Martin. So it does go to what his mentality is, whether he is, a violent man, irrational, things like that. I do wish to know more about Zimmerman's record because I think personally that does matter. Now, guys like Al Sharpton have gotten in on this. And personally, I don't always feel comfortable with Al Sharpton because he has made mistakes. There was the incident where a young black woman was accused white guys of raping her, and she caused them to lose their scholarship. Or Al Sharpton caused them to lose their scholarship, only to find out that the girl was lying and that the rape didn't really happen, and the white kids didn't get back their scholarship, and people are little uncomfortable with Al Sharpton. And then there's also the Black Panthers who called out a hit on George Zimmerman. And I feel as if we really don't need that because I feel like that's no better than what George Zimmerman did. He took the law into his own hands, and now Black Panthers are encouraging others to do the same thing. What Albert Einstein once said was that we can't solve a problem with the same mentality used to create that problem. So I don't think that these things should be happening. I think that it causes too much chaos and too much distraction from the facts and what should really be going on. Now, there's also an issue of I'm trying to remember. Oh, Geraldo Rivera talking about keep the hoodies home. I already went over how the hoodie isn't really relevant. Um, uh, and Barack Obama, what he said about how Trayvon Martin would look like his son if he had a son. And people are really outraged that Barack Obama said that. Well, here are the facts. Trayvon Martin is an African American young man, and Barack Obama is an African American. So if he was to have a child, the child would come out African American. So I don't see that being to such a wrong thing to say, really, because it's a fact, and I don't think that he's trying to make it into a race issue. He's just saying that this is close to my heart. This affects me personally, and I think that's a good thing because we see these politicians and we tend to think that they're very distant from things. They talk about things they know nothing about, and Barack Obama is saying this hits home, and I think that's really important. Now, Trayvon Martin, I mean, not Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman's friends are sticking up for him, saying he's crying, he's sorry. But I mean, that doesn't really make much of a difference because, of course you're going to cry. People hate you. You're going to go to prison, maybe. And even, sometimes you do have regret. But that doesn't mean what you did was right. It means that maybe you feel bad. You realize what you did was wrong. Let me see. Let me just make sure I covered everything. I saved my notes in my phone. Uh, oh yes, now a lot of people are saying, this wouldn't be such a big issue if race wasn't a factor in it. What if, it's a black on black crime, those things happen all the time, then we wouldn't make such an uproar. But I think what people are really upset about is one, racial profiling, which we went over, that's what it looks like. And another thing is the fact that George Zimmerman was not arrested. I mean, he essentially stalked Trayvon Martin, even if we think the shooting was self-defense, which I don't think so. Uh, we can't uh, we can't say that he was allowed to pretty much stalk Trayvon Martin, because if I was to follow somebody late at night, I would be arrested, as soon as I told the police that I was following somebody late at night. Now, I'm not saying it because I'm black. That's not where we're going with this. I don't want to, be accused of playing the race card. I'm saying uh, that is at least what should happen. Maybe I wouldn't be arrested. Maybe that's just the world we live in, where you can follow people in the middle of the night and it's okay. But like I said, neighborhood watch captain does not equal police officer, so there's no reason that should be allowed. Now, let's see. So, I mean, that's pretty much everything I really wanted to go over with you guys about this issue. And if you have any comments or anything else regarding what I've said here today, or anything you want to add, hit up the comment section, or message me, and subscribe to my videos, and well, just stay safe. These things happen, and it is unfortunate that Trayvon Martin is dead, and rest in peace. And I really hope his family is able to stay strong through this situation, because that hurt never goes away when you lose a kid. But that's really everything I want to say about this, and thank you.